instance, alcohol was very present in our household. So that also caused a lot of rifts within the household. And that also kind of pushed me and led me to the streets, but you also don't want to be home if dad is drinking. And, not that my dad was abusive in the physical sense, but I just didn't like being around him when he was, under influence. So I think that also kind of normalized that behavior for me, because I constantly see it, not just my dad, but family members in our community, alcohol and even drugs was commonplace. I had a mother who constantly reminded me of the potential that I had, the giftedness that she said she witnessed in me, and she could see that this thing is taking me away from the, even the things that I used to prosper in, the things that used to make me, right? Okay. So I had a lot of people speaking into my life and really just making me see that this thing that you're doing, it's not really you.
What's good? What's happening? What's popping? It's your boy Kev Stash. Welcome to another exciting episode of iQuantum Podcast. I-podcast yasekasi, i-podcast yomphakathi, i-podcast yomhlaba wonke jikelele. Ngiyacaba bafethu yiyo le i-podcast yabantu. So bafethu vandag we are coming to you live from Captain Park at Elim Clinic. So ngiyacaba bafethu as always akenzeki ngiva ngiyi-one. So on the passenger seat vandag ngiphethe the Elim Clinic rep, and he go by the name of coding. He's cold. He go by the name of Code. Ladies and gentlemen, let us put our hands together for Mr. Cody.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Mr. Cody.
Away.
What's good, my guy?
I'm good in yourself, but
welcome to the Recurrence podcast.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Tell us who's Cody.
Okay, so obviously there's a lot to just being Cody, but I'm one of the reps here at Elim Clinic. I do a lot of the recovery support here at Elim Clinic, meaning that I'm a person who was in active addiction for many years and was able to, recover. And now I help other people to recover as well. So I help them with their recovery plan, relapse prevention techniques, and all of the things that can help them to reintegrate back into society. So that's basically my main role here at Elim. But obviously Cody is much bigger than just his role here at Elim. But that's specifically why I'm here today.
Sure. Before we talk about the organization, let's just talk about you just a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. What led you into drugs?
I'd say there was a lot of different factors, I think one of the first factors is that as a kid growing up, I struggled to belong. I think every single person has that embedded inside of them. We all want to belong. We all want to be, loved and accepted. We all want approval from people of some sort. So for me, I think wanting to belong and coupled with peer pressure, wanting to be social, wanting to have fun. Yes, basically, and the problem was that I was looking for that in all the wrong places from all the wrong people, So I'd say that was one of the factors that led me into experimenting with drugs, not necessarily realizing that I myself could become addicted, because, when you're a teenager, you think you're invincible. And I thought, that happened to my Lume, that happened to the guy down the street, but I'm wiser, I'm smarter. It won't necessarily happen to me, There was also some family dynamics. There were things at home that were also not very helpful for my upbringing, I'd say, For instance, alcohol was very present in our household. So that also caused a lot of rifts within the household. And that also kind of pushed me and led me to the streets, But you also don't want to be home if dad is drinking and, not that my dad was abusive in the physical sense, but I just didn't like being around him when he was, under influence. So I think that also kind of normalized that behavior for me, because I constantly see it, not just my dad, but family members in our community, alcohol And even drugs was commonplace. This is what people did to have fun. And so I also thought maybe, I can be a part of this thing
now that you mentioned
called
your
fun.
upbringing, let's just go back to a little Cody who's growing up in the hood or in the burbs, wherever where you grew up. Yeah. So just take us through your upbringing.
So I have a very adverse upbringing, bro. I was born in Mafikeng. A lot of people don't believe it because I have
a
colored accent. How is this bra from Maftown? But even the Tswana is not Tswanaing, man. This Tswana was imported from Eldos, and basically, I grew up in Eldorado Park.
Okay.
For most of my life, that's where my mom lived. That's where my dad lived. My parents lived, family members as well. So that was my hood. That was my kasi. A very good place, by the way, but there were definitely some environmental factors also that kind of shaped my upbringing and, kind of influenced me, in that direction, Like I said to you, I was looking for validation and acceptance from the wrong people in the wrong, places. But I had a really good upbringing. My parents did their utmost best to give us the best life, in terms of school. We never really lacked or anything like that. I just think that I like things, wanted to enjoy life.
Well,
but
they normally say that you're a productive environment.
Yes.
So do you think the environment also played a role in you getting into drugs and stuff?
Yes, definitely, I'd say. And basically it was mainly just exposure. I kept, if you listen to me a while, I was saying that I began to normalize it. That's because this was commonplace where I lived, So if it's commonplace and we see it all the time, you become desensitized to it. You don't see it, as necessarily as a problem.
So drugs were not foreign in your neighborhood?
No, never. I was exposed to it from a very, very, very young age. Okay. Just seeing people use, it was commonplace. Seeing, the dealers peddling as well. Where people buy drugs. What specific drug they're using. This was just commonplace. In Kasi, the word goes around. People talk, and so hey, this one is snaying, weed. That one is snaying this. This one snays alcohol. So it was basically, I'd say mostly the environment as well. I think this is also part of the reason why my parents decided to move, out of the area. But the challenge was that I already had an issue, but they didn't know about it, right? Because I was very good at hiding it. I was a teenager, so very good at concealing it. But by the time we had left, I had already developed, a habit. You understand? I had already developed an inclination towards substances, towards the party life, coupled with hip hop culture. If your favorite rapper is saying smoke weed, say okay, let me do that. You know what I'm saying? Isn't that cool? Let me, So there was a lot of factors, at play. From family to my environment, to personal experiences, trauma. So there were a lot of trauma dynamics and factors at play. That led me to that.
Well, Eldos is known for crime and gangsterism.
Yes.
So are people exaggerating it, or is it as bad as people will say it is?
To be honest with you, there's a lot of good that's also happening in Eldos. There's a lot of talented people in Eldos. There's a lot of gifted people in Eldos. There's a lot of people who grew up in Eldorado Park who never, went on the journey that we did. Yet they grew up in the same area, were exposed to the same kind of things that I was exposed to. You understand? I just feel that many a times it's overshadowed by a lot of the bad. So a lot of the bad is being documented and not the good, So, it was vital for my upbringing. I believe that it made me the person that I am. I learned resilience there, community there, so there were a lot of good things. We were just attracted to the bad. There were a lot of people guiding us in the right direction, but we were just attracted to the negative, Because when you see, these gangsters as well having the nice cars, if you're a materialistic person, they have the cars, they have the girls, they have the clothes, they have the, they have the status. You're drawn to that, and especially if you come, like in the Eldos, there's a lot of unemployment, there's a lot of poverty, there's a lot of challenges that the community is facing as a whole that even push people to crime. You understand? So I would say, it's just that now, drugs and gangsterism is overshadowed, the shootings even that are happening there. But all in all, man, I still believe that there's a good place and there's a lot of good that is. I mean, I'm from there.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And look where I am today. Look at the kind of work that I'm doing today. If it wasn't for where I come from, I wouldn't be where I am today. So that's my home. I'll always rap it. Even if I'm staying in the East End now, where are you from? Eldos, my second. You know what I'm saying? People are like, no, relax, guys.
Shout out to Eldos.
So that's home for me. That's where I became who.
Well, the main reason we ask you about your background and stuff is because of I believe that if you are coming with a solution to a problem, don't deal with the fruit, but deal with the seed.
Yes.
Understand?
Yes.
So now, how did you overcome the drugs?
Okay.
Sure.
So obviously, with most of us, we don't realize that we have a problem until you want to stop, because you're seeing, the consequences that's coming with it, the effects that it's having on your health, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and even relationally, because now it's not just affecting you, it's affecting everyone, mom, dad, bro, sis, uncle, aunt, the community is even being affected, because now, we're also becoming a nuisance to the community because of this lifestyle,
around you now.
Yes. So for me, it was just that reality of, like, this is not the life that I want to live, Although it took long for me to get there, there's a lot of things that needed to happen. What led me to try or to attempt recovery was the hope that I could change. I had a mother who constantly reminded me of the potential that I had, the giftedness that she said she witnessed in me, and she could see that this thing is taking me away from the, even the things that I used to prosper in, the things that used to make me, right? Okay. So I had a lot of people speaking into my life and really just making me see that this thing that you're doing, it's not really you. What you actually need, is to be you. And so I realized that if I'm going to reach my goals, if I'm going to become the person that I want to become, then this particular issue needs to be removed from my life. And obviously, the first step is then obviously seeking help, So my psychologist is the one who actually recommended.
You said the first step is acceptance.
Yes.
You need to accept first.
Yes, correct.
You can seek help.
Yes. Okay. So that's what I'm saying to you. When I saw the consequence, that was the process of acceptance for me. I'm seeing that this thing is not conducive with the life that I want to live, Yeah. And I'm hearing people speaking into my life saying, "You better than this. You better than this, Cody." Sure. Like, bro, I can even tell you a story. Like, I even used to, drink a lot of alcohol. I remember I would drink every single day. The lady that was selling the alcohol to me one morning, I was buying, I think it was like a Tuesday morning. It's like 7, bro, 10 past 7. I'm already buying 2 quarts, right?
Imagine.
As she gives me the beer, right? She says to me, Cody, I respect you. I know you support my business and everything. But, you're too young to be drinking like this. I say, so I was a bit offended.
Yeah, she's judging you now.
Yeah, man. Ow, you're making money on it. But as I was sitting there drinking, I was thinking, man, maybe this lady's got a point, man. Is this really who I want to be? So it was those internal questions and internal conversations that I was having with myself, because I could see what it was doing, even though I was in denial. I realized that I had to step out of denial into reality. And so I had to accept, okay, I can't stop. I've tried already. So I'm going to have to seek help outside of myself. And, thank God for, me having a supportive family. Sure. And they were willing to jump on board. And as I said to you, somebody mentioned Elim. It's like, hey, there's this, treatment center in Kempton Park. There's a lot of people who went there and who have had a positive experience. And so I was like, okay, let's call that place, let's book, let's do this. And this time I want to do it for real, So there was also the willingness to change. I think a lot of times when people go for treatment, many a times they don't want it for themselves. They're doing it for something external, which is not bad. You can do it for your kids, you can do it for your wife, you can do it for your family. They were also my motivation, but I wanted to change. I wanted to be better. I wanted to do something positive, in this world, instead of adding to the destruction and the darkness that I was already seeing in my. I didn't want to be the stereotype. People like, yeah, he's from Eldos, that's why. No, bruh, no. That's not why. I was dealing with other things, that had nothing to do even with where I started. There were things that I needed to deal with inside. And so Elim allowed me the privilege of doing that hard work and really looking in and processing a lot of the things that I was running away from through the use of substances.
Shout out to them, Mata,
yeah, man. Much love.
Shout out to you for making that decision that I want to be part of the positive role model.
Yes.
Let's talk about Elim Clinic now.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, man. What is Elim Clinic and what do they do?
Okay.
Sure.
So as you can see, it's a wonderful place. You guys have already seen around, very therapeutic environment. So it's a treatment center, for addiction, right? And when we're talking about addiction, we're not just talking about the illegal, illicit stuff, right?
Yeah.
So when people think about addiction, they think the drugs, which is, yes, it's on the rise, it's there, it's a reality in our society. Drugs are definitely a big problem. But we're also talking about things that people may not necessarily think of, the socially acceptable stuff. Alcohol, socially acceptable, right? We treat that here, right? Medication, right? That goes for over-the-counter prescription medication. We treat that here, right? Then we also talk about process addictions, or what they call behavior addictions. Gambling is a common one. That's like the new face of I would say, behavior addictions, other than pornography and hypersexuality. But we treat addiction as a whole. We have a multi-team of professionals. I'm one of those, right?
I'm addicted to coffee. Can you treat it?
Yes, I mean, with coffee, you're going to have a different approach. For instance, coffee has caffeine in it, right? That's a low-grade stimulant, right?
Yeah.
If you use coffee regularly, right, you condition your brain to be dependent on that chemical called caffeine, right? So when you don't have caffeine, your body's going to react in a certain way, and we call that caffeine withdrawal, right? So I'm not saying anybody should quit coffee unless it's excessive. If you're having 4, 5, 6 cups, you understand, you're no longer drinking it, to enjoy it. There's a lot of good things about coffee, right? But obviously we want to have it in a balanced way. So in some days you can have coffee, on some days you can have tea. It shouldn't be something that we do routinely, because that's what reinforces the behavior, and that's what causes the brain to seek out that behavior. So now I need my coffee. If I don't have my coffee, I'm this nasty person. And that's not how it should be. So coffee is there's 2 ways to deal with that. Either humbly don't. Yeah.
Talking about coffee, most of my colleagues, they're addicted to energy drinks.
Oh yeah, that's a big problem. That one's more hectic, right? Remember, energy drinks have more caffeine.
More than coffee.
Yes, far more, right? So that it even writes it there on the can. High caffeine content. That's a warning. It's like, hey, by the way, we know you're tired.
Sure.
We know you're fatigued.
Yeah.
We know you need this boost.
Yeah.
But moderation, please. Even if you check at any drink that we might have, a soft drink, they'll even give you an amount to say 500 mils a day, right? They'll give you a amount. If you exceed that, then you're having way too much. So even with energy drinks, I don't condemn them, right? I'm just saying to people, don't have it in a regular way. Like, you can't drink it every single day, because what happens is you reinforce the behavior, and then you begin to build tolerance, meaning that one energy drink is not going to be enough. I'm going to need 2.
Sure.
Then I'm going to need 3.
Sure.
And that happens with addiction as a whole. That's the science, right? You reinforce the behavior, right? You use the substance, you get the feeling and effect, right? You feel the withdrawal, it's uncomfortable, you don't like it, so you use the substance again, right? You reinforce the behavior. That leads to dependence, and then dependence eventually leads to a use disorder, what we would call addiction. And that's with anything, even the lesser evils, if we may call them, right? Socially acceptable, right? Nicotine is socially acceptable, but we all know about the destructiveness of nicotine, right? You're seeing the inception of vapes, how popular that's becoming, hubbly bubbly as well. Yeah, show me, right? It's very popular. You can't go to a groove without a hubbly, right? But people are not talking about the dangers that come with that, right? I mean, the World Health Organization says that smoking will be the #1 cause of death by 2030. And with how people are smoking these days, I mean, I'm like, okay, maybe they have a point, because there's more and more people now through vaping and all of these other means. So we don't just treat the substance. You know, I think I always tell people, it's not just the what that you're enamored in or addicted to. We also look at the why. And you know, so yes, so Elim we have social workers and therapists here, right? They run psychosocial group sessions with the guys, and then they also do one-on-one sessions with the guys, right? So in the psychosocial group sessions, that's where they get to get the tools that they need, you know, to help them with their planning for relapse prevention, for going back into the world. But the one-on-one sessions is where we deal with those underlying issues. I always think of addiction like an iceberg. You know, an iceberg looks very small at the top, right? You see, this guy's drinking a lot. But underneath, there's a lot going on. There's abandonment. There's rejection. You understand? There's trauma. There's, grief. Low self-esteem, depression, anxiety. You understand? There's so much going on underneath. And so Elim thrives in digging deep and helping people to deal with the why. Because once you deal with the root, like you said,
yes,
you understand, then you've really dealt with the problem.
You must have.
If you only deal with the surface, you're only plucking the fruits. Sure. Another fruit grows in its place. That's why we even warn people about cross addiction. Yeah. Because somebody might say, alcohol is my problem, but marijuana is not my problem. So they quit alcohol, but they smoke weed. Then they end up going back to alcohol. Marijuana now becomes the problem. Another fruit that's growing in its place. So we need to deal with those underlying issues. Could be anything. Could be their mental health. Could be withdrawals. Could be people, places, things. Poor self-care. Relationships and intimacy. Boredom and isolation. Pride and overconfidence. Difficult, uncomfortable emotions. So it's different for every person, but Elim specializes in helping people through that process. You understand? Yeah. It's not just about quitting, because some people think it's just quitting. You can quit and still be miserable because you're not doing the work. You're not processing those difficult emotions, right? Yeah. It's about growing beyond the destructive habit and about taking control of your life again.
I saw on your brochures.
Yes.
It was written UCVCs and what was so. To me, it gave me this picture that maybe on Monday you deal with this, on Tuesday you deal with this and that. So can you break it down? Okay. So Elim has an inpatient program, and there's a timetable for that, right? Sure. Every week has its own theme. For instance, the theme for this week is the real me, where people are dealing with the authentic self-actualization, right? Because people lose touch with themselves when they are in active addiction. So it's about reconnecting the person to themselves, helping them to see their core competencies, helping them to see their potential, helping them to have what we call recovery capital. That's the strengths and resources that they bring into their recovery, right? So we have a schedule, right? So they'll have let's say, breakfast in the morning, then they'll have devotionals, right? That's the spiritual element of Elim, right? Where they get spiritually edified, because our program is holistic, right? We deal with the body, we deal, with the soul and the spirit. It's a biopsycho spiritual model, if I could put it that way, right? And then obviously it's the therapy session, so that's the group sessions. And then obviously there's other recreational sessions. So it's actually quite busy. A lot of people think if I come to rehab, I'm gonna lie. No, we're gonna wake you up and we're gonna have to start doing the work, So we have our inpatient program. We also have an outpatient program, and that's more early intervention. That program is really thriving in our schools because we want to reach the youth, isn't it? We want to help, the youth see that, hey, there's a better way. I know this is normal. Alcohol is, you're seeing these things and you may be normalizing, but there's a better way. You have a future. There's things that you can work towards, and this might get in the way. So we have our outpatient program. We even have, our prevention services. We do wellness days. We go to different organizations where we have an information desk, and we, provide services for different organizations. We do addiction-related presentations.
whether it's, just substance abuse in the workplace, mental health and substance abuse, gender-based violence and substance abuse, that's our specialty. Everything addiction is Elim's specialty, man. We even started our recent long-term program as well called Lighthouse, because we've seen that people might need to stay longer in rehab and pay more attention to those underlying issues as well. So there's so much that Elim is offering, man. Bro, I think we can sit here the whole day and I can walk you through the aspects, but it's basically like a school. I view it like that, where you go through these classes and this process, and that allows you to work on things that are underneath the iceberg and what's causing the person to use.
So what is corporate service, outpatient services, aftercare services, and youth services?
Yes. So for the corporates, like I said, we do the organizations. We go to a lot of different corporate companies. Every company has to have a well-being program or an employee assistance program. So they invite Elim to be a part of that so that we can offer our services, because there's a lot of people in the workspace that can also, struggle with substance use, and that can affect their work. They can lose their job and not be able to provide for their families. There's actually a stat that tells us that almost 70% of people, right, that they will have a substance use disorder will be from the working force. They will either be full-time or part-time employed. They will have the funds to support the habit to some degree, obviously, you understand? So that's our corporate services. When we say aftercare, that's post-treatment. That's, a support group, basically. It's a peer-led support group where people who have been to Elim, who have gone through the program, can come each and every single week, meet with other people who are walking the same journey as with them. Some of them just starting, some already far along in the journey. And they worked in, it's like continual group sessions, continual therapy, like your AA, your NA. It's basically a support group. Even with the youth services, like I mentioned, the schools, we love doing the schools, like I said, because, we have to help the youth. They're the ones that are more exposed. They're the future for tomorrow. So all of those things that you see on our website, it entails every different element of Elim and the services that we offer. So if people want to know more, our website is available. They can even see the place for themselves. Then they can even come and visit. We even do open days. We actually have an open day coming up very soon. I think in August, if I'm correct. In August, date will be announced, invites will be sent out, and people can actually come and witness the place for themselves. Because a lot of people think, rehab, jail, bro. They think Modabi, they think Sun City prison. Nah. It's a therapeutic environment that allows the person to shut out all the noise, to start doing the hard work. All of those dimensions need attention.
Or a government
facility? Elim is a private facility. Okay. Our services are private, so many people who come to Elim will either come via medical aid. Some people also, come, via cash payment. Many a times we even run specials. For instance, this month, because it's a substance abuse awareness month, June, right? So we're even running specials where we try to reduce the amount so that we can help a lot of people get, a lot of people cannot many a times afford treatment, right? Yeah. We are a private facility. Our outpatient services, though, because of our relationship with the DSD, has been subsidized, but there are elements to it where people will have to pay there and there, but that is more open to the public. But as I've said, that works very well. Even with adults, yes, people 18 years and older, very, very well, but I've seen that with the youngsters because it's early intervention, it works really, really well there. So yes, private facility, but our services are obviously available to all people seeking help. If we can't help people, then we'll then refer them elsewhere where they can be helped if maybe they cannot afford or they have any other challenges.
How long do your patients stay here?
Okay, so many a times if you do long term, right?
Do you call them patients?
Well, the correct word to use is service user. But because Elim is a hospital environment, we always used to say this is a hospital environment. Some people will still use the term patient, but because the language is changing, we're actually supposed to say service user. That's the word, sorry, service user. Okay. So because this is a person that is using our
So how long do they stay
services? Okay, so if they do short-term treatment, right, they can stay up to 3 weeks, right? Most medical aids will cover up to 21 days, 24 days. Some medical aids can even cover up to 28 days, right? So that's the short-term treatment. Right? Then we have the long-term program. and that one goes up to 3 months, right? So it depends on the person's needs and also what they can afford. But most people opt for short-term treatment because many of them are working people, right? They have to go back to work, they have families to take care of, they have to get, back into the tune of life, reintegrate back into society. So our program varies according to the person's needs.
What is relapse?
Relapse, okay. We don't even use that term anymore, right? Because
what term to use now?
Recurrence of use, right? Because when we talk about substance use disorder, what we call addiction, it is a relapse-prone brain disease, right? It's a brain illness, right? Because that's the first organ in the body that's affected, and that's why it affects everything else, right? So people in recovery are in danger of relapsing if they do not apply the tools and the coping mechanisms that they learn here at Elim. But we don't look at relapse as a failure, right? I always say to the guys, there's a lesson, right? We can always go back to your recovery plan and we can look at what was not being done or what we can change, and we start the journey again, right? But a lapse would be when somebody is in recovery, right? And then they go through this process of, that leads them back to physically using again. And it normally happens when there's a resurfacing of negative emotions, right? Because many of us struggle to deal with emotions. Remember, substances was the way. When I was stressed, I drink. When I'm this, I drink. You understand? So some guys would abandon the coping mechanisms, or they'll stop practicing self-care. They'll abandon their routine. They'll stop going for meetings and therapy. They'll stop checking their diet, checking their sleep, isolate. You understand? So it's different for every person, right? But that normally sends out the red flags, and that leads to where they now start reminiscing about, we call that a mental lapse, where they start reminiscing about using again and justifying that, and that then leads to the physical acting out, right? So you find that relapses are very common in recovery, but it shouldn't be seen as, now this person has failed. No. There's something that went wrong. We need to identify what went wrong, and then we need to work on that so that the person can start their journey again. I know this is a weird analogy. You know this game we used to play as kids, very simple. It's called snakes and ladders, right? Now when you roll in the dice, right, you're going up, right? You're moving up. There's even ladders that get you up. Now and then you land on a snake, right? And what happens? You go down. Does it mean it's game over? No, right? You can still play, and you understand. I know it's a weird analogy. Right? I don't know why I thought of that.
Yeah, but it makes sense. Trust me, it does.
For instance, to be open with you, in my own journey, before I came to Elim, I had already been to rehab twice, right? And in those two instances, there was a reoccurrence of use. And in those two instances, I realized what was causing me to fall back, right? There were internal factors, right? Feelings, thoughts, memories, and there were external factors, people, places, things. So I needed to learn on how am I going to deal with these things when they come, right? In terms, can I still hang around the same people if I want to change? Can I still gallivant in the same places if I want to change? Can I still do the same things that I was doing that expose me to the very same things that I want to get away from if I want to change? So it requires a person to be very, very radical, bro. You have
to change the environment.
Yes, we have to encourage that. I always encourage the guys and say this process includes a lifestyle makeover, bro.
Sure.
You top billing, bro. You know what I'm saying? We're going to break down this house that you built, right? And we're going to, yes, because now we need to lay the foundation again.
Your house now.
And yes, and that's a process as well, brick by brick. And you're going to face challenges along the way. That's why aftercare is important. That's why ongoing therapy is important. You understand? That's why, community and having a good support system is important. Like, that's one of the things that has helped me to thrive, is that I've always had people. Whenever I have weak moments, I can reach out. I can be vulnerable. Say, hey, man, today was hectic. I thought about drinking. Or I thought about smoking. Hey, no, Cody, man. Then it reminds you of what's important. It reminds you of what's at stake. You understand? But if you're on your own, you're isolated. Have you ever heard that quote? They say an addict alone is in bad company. The mind, hey, you're like, yeah, man, you know what, maybe just one, man. Hey, you know what, maybe if I take a 0.0, your mind's like, yeah, 0.0, only a solid thing, only, just for the taste. You see, your mind So you need people that you can run those feelings through, and then it can not control you, but hold you accountable.
Yeah, but you need support system.
Yes, you can't do it on your own.
Sure.
You cannot do it on your own. And so that's part of the things that I've learned at Elim that has helped me personally to stay sober for the last 9 years. So on the 25th of July this year, it's going to be 9 years of sobriety. If you met me 9 years ago, you would have said that was impossible given the drugs that I was on, given the lifestyle that I was in. You would have said there's no chance for this guy, right? But this place gave me an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? This place gave me an opportunity, and I realized my potential. And what I love is that I was able to come back, because one of the desires that I wanted to give back. I wanted to do the same thing that the guys did when they came to Elim. We'd have motivational speakers coming in and they speak into our lives and say, amen. And I'm like, oh man, this sobriety thing is possible. If this guy's been doing it for 17 years and he's been doing it for 3 years and he's been doing it for 5 years, it's possible.
Sure.
Yeah, so,
Well, I saw the tournament. Yeah, it's a first tournament. It's in Tembisa. I saw your logo on the poster.
Yes.
So, what is your relationship with them? That kick-out drugs tournament. Soccer netball tournament. It's kick-out drugs soccer netball tournament.
Yes. So basically, obviously, we're offering a service, and we want to also promote recreational activities, right? You see, the thing is, a lot of people don't realize that motion is therapy. So once you get into spaces like where you can play soccer, where you can do all of these different, activities, that can also help the person to stay in recovery, where they can surround themselves, with the right people. They can, build community again, right? For instance, we always stress the point of exercise and recovery, right? Because if you even do your homework, right? If you go online and you look at the stats, it says that when people have recreational activities that they do while they're in recovery, it lowers chances of a relapse, of a reoccurrence of use, So I believe that this whole connection is to promote and to campaign that, to show the youth, to show the people involved, hey, this is how we can spread a positive light, and this is what we can do to be better, to build community, to hold each other accountable, to do life together. And so Elim is just that helping hand, showing people that even if it gets to that place, you can get help.
I think we can just call him to come and tell us about his event, so we can know what you guys be doing on the day.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, Dishesh, swagala bro, what you channel event ya how already inside. Friendly chair. Mr. Dishesh.
How's it?
Good, my guy. Yourself?
Fine, thanks. And you?
Yeah, welcome to Quantum. Maybe just introduce yourself to our audience at home.
Okay, as I'm known, I'm Dishesh Mutsene. I'm from an organization called Inkincha Legacy. We're hosting a tournament on the 27th of June. It's a kick-out drugs tournament at Michelin Stadium and netball courts. So it's the top 16 of primary and high school. So under 13 and under 15.
So you're kicking the drugs out?
Yeah, I'm kicking the drugs out, yeah. It's high time.
So are you using soccer boots to kick the drugs out?
Yeah, I'm using soccer boots. That's the simple way to put it. You have to transform lives and everything.
Sure. So tell us about your relationship with Elim Clinic.
Yes, we just recently formed a new partnership with Elim Clinic. So they'll be part of the tournament. They'll have their stall there because they're more on the rehabilitation side. So they'll talk about the business. They'll also have a slot where they can talk about the business to promote it and to let people know if they're struggling with rehab, they can come, and then Elim Clinic can be able to solve that for them. So yeah.
All right. Give us your lineup.
My lineup.
Yeah, for the day.
My lineup for the day.
Yeah.
So
because I saw big brands there. I saw Muzi de Muzi.
Yeah. Okay, the lineup is Muzi de Muzi. It's Blackberry. I don't know if you're familiar with Blackberry, but most of the people that are in Tembisa.
Everyone knows him, bro. Not just him, it's the whole South Africa, trust me.
Yeah, it's
it's a scary movie, that's
It's your previous podcast guy, Delisa Bembe.
All right.
It's Tatu Matume from Tembisa Track Rehabilitation Movement.
Sure. He's also coming to Quantum very soon.
Yeah, soon.
Yeah, and you must come with him, ne?
Yeah, I will.
Because we'll be talking about drugs on the day.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Cool.
So we're trying to incorporate everything. So we have a fun day full of soccer and netball, and then between you're gonna have motivational talks about it, and also recovered addicts. They're gonna be having slots there, and then our partner Elim clinic. Yes, so we're trying to make it fun and at the same time educational.
Alright, shout out, my guy.
Thanks.
All the best, eh?
No, pleasure, man.
Yeah, I see the MPs in the house. May you please just come join us, sir. Please come join us. What is his name?
Roger.
Mr. Roger. What's good, Mr. Roger?
All good, thank you, and yourself.
Oh, welcome to Quantum.
Thank you.
And thank you for having us, eh? Thank you for welcoming us in your house.
Well, we're happy to be having you here with us and to be part of this fantastic project that is going to be happening.
Yeah.
We firmly at Elim, we firmly believe that we need to work with the children and prevent drug use even before they start using it. So educate the children from the earliest age is the way that we are going to make a difference in the fight against substance use in this country.
Shout out to that. We just had a nice chat here with Mr. Cody here. Now we know what you guys are about and stuff. So is there anything that you wanna tell the public?
I think it's important to be for the public to understand that for us to, as I said earlier on, to make this difference, we need to educate ourselves. You never know when you are going to be faced with the problem of substance use disorder. And to know how to deal with it is the first step in actually dealing with it. And if you are in an area where you are operating a non-profit, or you are operating a business, or you are a family member, you've got a child at school, it's important that those people that are part of your life and part of the life of the community understand that substance use is out there and it is a big problem, and for them to be able to tackle that problem, they need to learn how to tackle that problem and what to do and who they can call on for the assistance. And I think that's where people like Tembisa Rehabilitation Center and Elim Clinic come in. We want to educate those people. We want to share the knowledge so that we can reach more people in this fight against substance use disorder. All
right. I have only one question for you. You guys are situated in Captain Park, and this is one of the places that I know that is dominated by drugs and prostitution. So what is the solution to that?
The solution to that, as I said earlier on, is education, but also continued education. You know, every year on the 26th of June, the United Nations has what they call International Day Against Drug Abuse. And this year's theme for that day is breaking the chains, prevention, treatment and recovery for all. And I think what we need to acknowledge is that there's still this stigma around substance use disorder. And that stigma is one of the biggest obstacles for people who are struggling with substance use to come forward. They're scared that they're going to be judged. And I think what we need to, as the community, what we need to embrace is that we have to break that stigma. We have to acknowledge that this is a disorder. And every time we judge someone because they are substance use, we are limiting their access to the treatment that they need. So we as the community, we need to break down that stigma. We need to accept that this is a problem that we all need to work on. It's not just for those who are struggling with it, but it's a community project. And there needs to be recovery. There needs to be access to recovery for everybody who needs it.
Okay. Mr. Cody.
Yes, sir.
Any closing message to our subscribers at home?
Yeah, and also just remind people that, you know, recovery is possible, right? I think a lot of people think it's an impossible thing to achieve, but if a person is willing to take the necessary steps to get help from places like Elim, that can start the journey for them, you know. So I always say to people, you know, getting sober, right? That's the first part. But staying in recovery, right, and doing the hard work, that requires a lot of diligence, and that requires the services that we offer here at Elim.
Shout out. Any closing message?
No. I think Cody said it all. Recovery is absolutely possible. And if you are needing the help, reach out to someone that can put you on the right path.
Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you for spending your time with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for also visiting our house, visiting our taxi. This is the mobile taxi.
Well, I'm so glad
content.
that you parked it here.
And thank you for not charging us for parking. That's it for me, your boy Cam Snatch. All I can say to you is, Eita Ola. Awe.